The third time it happened, I didn't even cry right away. I just sat there in a hard plastic chair inside the county clerk's office in downtown Austin, staring at the little digital clock above the counter like it was personally mocking me. 5:42 p.m. They closed at 6. I could feel my phone vibrating in my hand again and again, but I already knew what it was going to be before I even looked. Another text from Ethan. Work emergency. I'm so sorry. Love you. The same words, dressed up differently every time. Like changing the wrapping paper was supposed to make the gift less insulting. I swallowed, and my throat burned. Because this wasn't a wedding venue with flowers and guests and a violin playing in the background. This was a government building with fluorescent lighting and stale air, where people came to handle paperwork and argue about parking tickets. And still, somehow, I had managed to get left behind again. 3 times. I didn't know what was worse. The humiliation of it, or the fact that a part of me had still believed he'd show up. Like maybe this time he would run through the doors, out of breath, hair messed up, eyes full of regret, and say he was sorry in a way that finally meant something. But the doors stayed closed. The security guard didn't even glance my way anymore. He had already decided I wasn't important. The clerk behind the glass window was a woman in her 50s with tired eyes and a voice that had probably said the same polite phrases to 1,000 people a day. She leaned out slightly and tapped her pen against the counter. "Ma'am, we're closing in about 15 minutes. I nodded like I understood, like I was a normal person with a normal day who could just stand up and walk away. But I didn't move. My legs felt heavy, like they didn't belong to me. My purse sat on the floor beside my feet. Inside it was the folder with all our documents. Copies of IDs. Forms. Everything prepared and organized. Because I had always been the organized one. The responsible one. The one who made sure things happened. Even when Ethan didn't. Especially when Ethan didn't. A memory flashed through my head, sharp and unwanted. The first time he missed it, he called me crying, saying his mom had gotten sick suddenly and he had to take her to the ER. I believed him. I even brought him soup later that night, like I was the one who needed to prove I wasn't angry. The second time, he swore it was a last-minute crisis, something that couldn't be postponed, something only he could handle. I believed him again. Because I loved him. Because I had already told everyone we were getting married. Because it was easier to believe him than to admit I might have been building my life around someone who didn't value me. This third time, I didn't even get a phone call. Just a text. Like canceling a dentist appointment. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. Then my eyes drifted down to the other thing in my purse. A small white stick in a plastic wrapper. A pregnancy test. Positive. 6 weeks. I had found out 2 days ago, and I had kept it to myself because I wanted to tell him today. I wanted it to be a surprise. I wanted him to smile and spin me around and say we were going to be a family. I wanted to believe it would make him stay. Now it just felt like a secret burning a hole through my ribs. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Ethan. It was my mom. I hesitated, then answered, because if I didn't, she would call again and again until she wore me down. Her voice came through bright and excited. "Is it done? Are you officially Mrs. Carter now? Send me a picture, honey." My mouth opened, but nothing came out. My mom paused for half a second. Then her voice changed like a light switching off. "He didn't show up again, did he?" I squeezed my eyes shut. "Mom. Oh my God. Where are you? You're not still there, are you?" I didn't answer. Her tone sharpened. "You go home. Right now. Do you hear me? You are not going to sit there like some sad puppy waiting for him. You are not going to let him do this to you again." I wanted to say something. I wanted to tell her I was trying. But my throat was tight, and the tears were right there, waiting. So I did the only thing I could do. I ended the call. I sat there with the phone pressed to my ear even after it went silent. My mom's words echoed in my head. Some sad puppy. That's what I looked like. That's what I was. The clerk, the woman with the tired eyes, watched me for a moment like she was deciding whether to be kind or blunt. Then she sighed and stepped out from behind the counter, walking toward me. She didn't look annoyed. She looked almost sympathetic. Honey, I'm not trying to be rude, but if a man wants to marry you, he'll show up. He'll crawl through broken glass if he has to. My lips twitched like I might laugh, but it came out more like a broken breath. I know. She glanced at the folder in my lap, then at the way my hands were shaking. Third time. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She already knew. She gave a slow nod, like she'd seen this movie before. I'm sorry, she said quietly. Then she started walking back toward the counter, and that should have been the end of it. It should have been me standing up, walking out, getting into my car, and driving home to cry in the shower like a normal person. But then the front doors opened. A man walked in. He moved fast, like he was trying to outrun something. He wore a dark button-up shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows. His hair was slightly messy, like he'd run his hands through it too many times. He stopped near the entrance, pulled out his phone, and made a call. I didn't mean to listen. But in a quiet building, voices carry. His voice was low and tense, like he was holding back something sharp. So that's it, huh? Pause. No, don't even start. I cleared my whole day for this. Another pause. Fine. Yeah. Whatever. You're busy. You're always busy. He let out a bitter laugh that didn't sound amused at all. Don't bother explaining, Madison. We're done. He ended the call and just stood there for a second, staring at his phone like he wanted to throw it through the glass doors. Then he pinched the bridge of his nose, took a slow breath, and looked up. His eyes landed on me. And I knew immediately. He had the same look on his face that I felt in my bones. That mix of humiliation and rage. Like you want to scream, but you don't want anyone to hear it. Like you want to pretend you're fine, but you're one breath away from falling apart. The clerk's eyes flicked from him to me. Then she made a sound that was halfway between a sigh and a laugh. Well, would you look at that, she muttered. She walked over to him first. Sir, I'm sorry, but we're closing soon. Do you have an appointment? He gave a short nod, jaw tight. Yeah. I did. She tilted her head. Let me guess. They didn't show. His mouth tightened. Third time. My stomach dropped. Third time for him too. The clerk turned back toward me and then looked between us again. And then she said it. The thing that should have been a joke. The thing that should have been ridiculous. The thing that changed everything. You know, at this point, you two should just get married. Silence hit the room like a slap. The security guard stopped flipping through his magazine. A couple near the corner glanced over. I stared at her like she had lost her mind. The man stared too. Then his gaze slid back to me. And something strange happened. For 10 seconds, neither of us looked away. 10 seconds is a long time when you're staring at a stranger. Long enough to notice the faint shadow under his eyes, like he hadn't slept. Long enough to notice the way his hand curled into a fist by his side. Long enough to recognize something familiar in him. He was hurt. Not in a dramatic way. In a quiet, tired way. Like he had been disappointed so many times he didn't even know what hope felt like anymore. I should have laughed. I should have stood up and walked away. I should have said no, because I was not the kind of person who married strangers in government buildings. But then I thought about Ethan's text. Work emergency. Love you. The clerk blinked. Sir, I was joking. He turned back to me. I wasn't. I swallowed hard. My mind was screaming at me to stop. My body felt like it was floating. I stood up slowly, like if I moved too fast, the whole world would shatter. My voice came out calm in a way that didn't feel like me. Okay. The word dropped into the air like a match. The clerk froze again. The security guard sat up straighter. The couple in the corner whispered. The man's shoulders lifted slightly, like he had been holding his breath and didn't realize it. Okay, he repeated. The clerk shook her head like she couldn't believe her life. You kids are going to be the reason I retire early, she muttered. She pointed at the counter. If you're doing this, you're doing it now. I'm not staying late because you had some emotional breakdown and decided to make it my problem. I almost laughed. Almost. The man stepped beside me, close enough that I could feel his warmth. He held out his hand. I'm Ryan. I stared at his hand for a second. Then I took it. His grip was firm, steady. Not flirty. Not possessive. Just, real. I'm Emma, I said. Emma Hart. Ryan gave a single nod like he was storing the information. Emma Hart. He glanced at my folder. You have your paperwork? I lifted it slightly. Yeah. He reached into his jacket and pulled out his own documents. He had everything too. Of course he did. Two people prepared for a wedding that never happened. The clerk ushered us to the counter, still shaking her head. All right, she said, sliding forms toward us. Full legal names. Birth dates. Addresses. My pen hovered over the paper. I felt dizzy. This was insane. This was a disaster. This was, happening. I wrote Emma Grace Hart. Ryan wrote Ryan Matthew Cole. The clerk checked our IDs, stamped papers, made copies. Everything moved too fast. Like the universe had decided if we stopped for even 1 second, we'd come to our senses. She led us to the photo station. The background was a flat, ugly shade of blue. The photographer was a bored-looking guy in his 20s who took one glance at us and raised his eyebrows. You two ready? Ryan and I sat down on the bench. There was a few inches of space between us. Like we were afraid touching would make it real. My hands were cold. Ryan leaned slightly toward me, just enough for me to hear him without anyone else noticing. Last chance to run, he murmured. I swallowed. No. He nodded once. Same. The camera flashed. That was it. A photo of two strangers with stiff faces and tired eyes, sitting side by side like we were posing for a punishment. The clerk handed us the final paperwork. Sign here. And here. And initial there. My signature looked shaky. Ryan's looked solid. The clerk pressed the seal down on the certificate, and the sound was loud in the quiet room. Thunk. Like a door closing. Congratulations, she said, handing the papers over. You are legally married. Ryan stared at the certificate. I stared too. Married. I had a husband. A man I had known for less than an hour. My phone buzzed again in my hand. Ethan. I didn't answer. Ryan looked at me. You should. Closure. I swallowed, then answered. Ethan's voice came through too casual, too light, like he hadn't just wrecked my life for the 3rd time. Hey babe. I'm done now. I'm on my way. We can still grab dinner. My treat. I stared at the certificate again, and something inside me went quiet. Ethan, I said. Yeah. I'm still at the clerk's office. There was a pause. He laughed like I was being dramatic. You're still there. Babe, I said I'm sorry. Don't do this. They're closed, I said softly. What? They're closed, I repeated, my voice calm. But I got married anyway. Silence. Then his laugh turned sharp. Emma, stop. That's not funny. I wasn't trying to be funny. I glanced at Ryan, who was watching me closely, expression unreadable. I'm not joking, Ethan. I can send you a photo of the certificate if you want. His breathing turned rough. You're insane. I swallowed. Also, I was going to tell you something today. Another pause. I'm pregnant. My voice cracked just a little, and I hated that it did. 6 weeks. The silence on the line felt like falling off a cliff. Then Ethan's voice came back, louder. You're pregnant with my kid and you married someone else. I stared at the floor. Don't worry about it. I'll handle it. Emma, don't you dare hang up on me. Where are you? I'm coming there right now. I ended the call. I turned my phone off. Then I looked at Ryan. My voice came out small. Do you have somewhere I can go tonight? Ryan didn't hesitate. Yeah. He swallowed once, like he was making a decision too. I've got a place. You can stay there. I nodded. Okay. We walked out together into the warm Texas night, the city lights glowing like nothing had changed. But everything had. And I had no idea what I'd just done. Ryan's car was a black SUV that looked like it belonged to someone who always paid their bills on time. Clean. Quiet. No random receipts on the floor. No fast food smell. No chaos. The moment I slid into the passenger seat, the door shutting behind me felt like the end of one life and the start of another. I kept my marriage certificate clutched in my lap like it was either proof of freedom or evidence of a crime. Ryan didn't start the engine right away. He reached into the cup holder and handed me an unopened bottle of water. Here, he said. My fingers were stiff when I took it. Thanks. I twisted the cap off and took a sip. The cold water hit my throat and made me realize how dry I was. Like I hadn't swallowed all day. Ryan finally pulled out of the parking spot and eased into the traffic outside the clerk's office. The streets of downtown Austin were lit up, full of people walking in groups, laughing, living their normal Friday night lives. I watched them through the window like they were behind glass in an aquarium. That could have been me. A normal woman on a normal date with her normal fiancé. Instead, I was married to a stranger. And pregnant with another man's child. My brain kept trying to rewind time like if I thought hard enough, I could undo it. Ryan kept his eyes on the road, hands steady on the wheel. He didn't ask questions. He didn't make jokes. He didn't say anything about how insane this was. That somehow made it worse. Because it made it feel real. After a few minutes, I couldn't stand the silence anymore. About what I said on the phone, I started, my voice thin. Ryan's jaw tightened, but he didn't look at me. I heard. I swallowed. I'm pregnant. It's my ex's. I waited for the reaction. For anger. For disgust. For regret. For him to pull over and tell me to get out. Ryan just nodded once. Okay. That was it. Okay. My chest tightened. That's all you're gonna say? He glanced at me for the first time, and his eyes were tired but clear. What do you want me to say? I didn't have an answer. I didn't even know what I wanted. Maybe I wanted him to yell so I could feel justified in falling apart. Maybe I wanted him to tell me it wasn't a problem so I could feel safe. Instead, he gave me something I wasn't expecting. Neutrality. A quiet kind of acceptance. Ryan cleared his throat. For what it's worth, my ex told me last week that she couldn't marry me because her career was too important. I blinked. She literally said that? Pretty much, he said. On the kitchen counter was a single mug, rinsed and upside down on a towel. No clutter. No family photos. No random magnets on the fridge. Just quiet. He pointed down the hall. That room is yours tonight. Thank you, I said. He gave a short nod. There's food in the fridge. Nothing fancy. I paused at the doorway. Ryan. Yeah. Why did you do this? He didn't pretend not to understand. He leaned back against the wall, arms crossed. Because I'm tired. That wasn't the full answer, and we both knew it. But it was enough. I nodded, then went into the room and shut the door. The pull-out couch was already made up with clean sheets and a folded blanket. I sat on the edge of it, staring at the wall. My phone was still off. My heart was still pounding. I should call Maya, I whispered to myself. My best friend had been with me through everything. Every fight. Every apology. Every time Ethan made me feel like I was too much and not enough at the same time. I turned my phone on. It exploded instantly. Missed calls. Texts. Voicemails. Ethan. Mom. Maya. My hands trembled as I scrolled. Ethan had left 12 voicemails. My mom had left 7. Maya had sent about 20 texts. Where are you? Emma, call me. Are you safe? Ethan is freaking out. Please tell me you didn't do something crazy. I stared at the last one. Please tell me you didn't do something crazy. I laughed once, quietly, and it sounded like a sob. I called Maya. She answered on the first ring. Emma, oh my God. Are you okay? Where are you? I took a shaky breath. I'm safe. Where? I hesitated, then decided there was no point lying. I'm at a guy's apartment. Silence. A guy's apartment? Yeah. Emma, what guy? I swallowed. His name is Ryan Cole. Another silence, longer this time. Then Maya's voice came back sharper. Are you telling me you went home with a stranger? No, I said quickly. Not like that. It's not like that. Then why are you there? Because I married him. Maya didn't speak for a full 5 seconds. Then she whispered. What? I sat down harder on the couch, like my legs gave out. I know. Emma, are you serious right now? I told her everything. About the clerk. About Ryan. About the stupid 10 seconds of eye contact that felt like a dare from the universe. About signing the papers. About Ethan calling too late. About me telling him I was pregnant. By the time I finished, my voice was raw. Maya exhaled into the phone like she'd been holding her breath the entire time. Emma. I know. No, you don't know, she said, her voice rising. You don't know this man. You don't know if he's dangerous. You don't know if he has debt, or a criminal record, or... He's not dangerous, I cut in. How do you know? Because he didn't push anything. He gave me water. He gave me a room. He's sleeping on the couch. Maya didn't sound convinced. That doesn't mean anything. I rubbed my forehead. Maya, Ethan conned me for 3 years. Maya went quiet. I kept going, the words spilling out like poison I'd been swallowing too long. I moved here for him. I left my whole life behind. I kept forgiving him. I kept waiting. And today I was sitting there with a positive pregnancy test in my purse, ready to tell him we were going to be a family. My voice cracked. And he still didn't show up. Maya's voice softened. Oh, I wiped my face with the back of my hand. I'm not stupid, Maya. I know this is insane. But I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't be that girl in the chair again. Maya was quiet for a moment. Then she said, low and serious. Okay. Listen to me. Lock your door. If you hear anything weird, call 911. I'm coming to you tomorrow morning. You don't have to. Yes, I do, she snapped. You're pregnant and married to a stranger. I absolutely have to. I let out a shaky laugh. Okay. Text me the address. I did. After I hung up, I sat there in the quiet room and stared at the wall again. Then I stood up and went into the bathroom. The mirror showed a woman who looked like she'd been through a war. Mascara smudged. Eyes swollen. Hair frizzy. But my mouth was set in a hard line. I splashed cold water on my face, dried it off, and stared at myself like I was trying to recognize who I'd become. Emma Hart, I whispered. 29. Pregnant. And married to a stranger. I looked away. This had to be a nightmare. I turned off the bathroom light and crawled into the pull-out couch. The sheets smelled clean. Too clean. Like a hotel. My body was exhausted, but my mind wouldn't shut up. I kept replaying everything. The clerk's voice. Ryan's steady hand. Ethan's stupid text. The sound of the seal stamping down on the certificate. Thunk. My stomach fluttered, and I pressed my palm to it. There's really a baby in there. A tiny life growing quietly while my world collapsed. I closed my eyes. And for the first time, the fear wasn't just about me anymore. It was about what kind of mother I was going to be. And whether I was about to ruin everything before the baby even had a chance. I must have drifted off at some point, because the next thing I knew, pale sunlight was cutting through the blinds. I blinked, disoriented. Then it all hit me again like a punch. I sat up fast, hand going to my stomach automatically. My heart was racing. I could hear movement outside the door. A cabinet opening. A soft clink of a mug. Coffee. I stood slowly, the couch creaking. I opened the door. Ryan was in the kitchen wearing a plain white t-shirt and gray sweatpants, pouring coffee into a travel mug. He looked up when he heard me. Morning. His voice was neutral, like we were roommates. Morning, I said, my voice scratchy. On the coffee table, the marriage certificates were sitting side by side, like two silent witnesses. Ryan noticed my eyes on them. Yeah, he said. Still real. I swallowed. I'm not sure how I feel about that. He gave a small shrug. Me neither. He gestured toward the counter. You want something to eat? I hesitated. I should eat. I'm pregnant. I can't just survive on anxiety. What do you have? Eggs. Toast. Some fruit. And I can make oatmeal if you want. Oatmeal sounds good, I said quietly. Ryan nodded and started moving around the kitchen with a calm efficiency. He didn't ask more questions. He didn't try to comfort me. He just did something practical. And for some reason, that made my chest ache. We sat at his small dining table with 2 bowls of oatmeal. The silence was thick but not hostile. Just awkward. Like 2 people stuck in a situation neither of them would ever admit out loud. Ryan's phone buzzed. He ignored it. Mine buzzed too. I glanced at it. Mom. I didn't answer. Ryan noticed. You should call her back at some point, he said. I know. What are you going to tell her? I stared at my spoon. The truth, I guess. He nodded slowly. Good luck. I almost smiled. Thanks. A few minutes later, the doorbell rang. I froze. Ryan looked up instantly, alert. You expecting someone? No. My stomach clenched. What happens when Ethan finds you? My stomach dropped. Because that was the question I'd been avoiding. I stared at the table. I don't know. Ryan's jaw tightened. He won't come here. Maya looked at him. How do you know? Ryan's eyes were steady. Because I won't let him. And for the first time since yesterday, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not love. Not happiness. Not even hope. Just a thin, shaky sense of safety. Like maybe I wasn't standing alone in the wreckage anymore. By Monday morning, my life had officially split into two versions of reality. One version was the one I could show the world. The version where I put on mascara, wore a blazer, and walked into my building like nothing had happened. The version where I smiled at coworkers and nodded through small talk and pretended I wasn't carrying a secret heavy enough to crack my spine. The other version was the one that waited under my skin like a live wire. The version where I was legally married to Ryan Cole. The version where Ethan Carter was still texting me from different numbers like a man who didn't understand the meaning of the word done. The version where I woke up every morning with my hand on my stomach, thinking about the tiny heartbeat that might or might not become my whole future. That morning, Ryan picked me up outside my apartment. He didn't come inside. He didn't knock. He just texted me. I'm here. Simple. Direct. Like him. I walked out with my tote bag over my shoulder, trying to look normal. Trying not to look like someone who had made the kind of decision people talk about for the rest of their lives. Ryan was leaning against his SUV when I approached. He looked clean-shaven today, hair still slightly messy in a way that made him look younger than he probably wanted to. He opened the passenger door for me. I paused. Thank you. He gave a small nod. Seatbelt first, he said, like I was a kid. I huffed a quiet laugh, then buckled in. As he drove, the city moved around us in its usual rhythm. Traffic lights. Coffee shops. Joggers. A guy walking his dog in a UT hoodie. Everything normal. Which made it feel even more unreal that my life had turned into something out of a late-night movie. Ryan kept the radio low, some kind of soft indie music. After a few minutes, he glanced at me. How are you feeling? I stared out the window. Honestly? Yeah. I swallowed. Like I'm going to throw up and pass out at the same time. He nodded like that made perfect sense. You eat anything? Oatmeal. Good. That was it. No pep talk. No cheesy comfort. Just practical questions. And somehow, that was what kept me from falling apart. When we pulled up in front of my building, my stomach twisted. I didn't want to go in. Not because I couldn't do my job. Because I could already imagine the looks. The whispers. The curiosity dressed up as concern. Ryan parked and turned off the engine. You want me to walk you in? My heart jumped. No, I said quickly. That's okay. He studied me for a moment. Okay. Then he reached into the console and pulled out the marriage certificate copy he'd kept. You should take this. I stared at it like it was radioactive. I don't want to carry that around. It's your proof, he said calmly. If Ethan tries something stupid, you have legal backing. Legal backing. My husband. It still didn't feel real. But I took it and slid it into my tote bag. Thanks. Ryan's voice dropped slightly. Text me when you're done today. I'll pick you up. You don't have to. He gave me a look that made my argument die in my throat. I'm doing it. I nodded. Okay. I got out of the car and walked toward the entrance without looking back. But I could feel his eyes on me the whole way. Like he was making sure I got inside safe. Like he meant what he said. Inside the lobby, the air conditioning hit my skin, and I shivered. The receptionist gave me a smile that was too bright. "Morning, Emma." "Morning." Her eyes flicked to my left hand. I wasn't wearing a ring. Of course I wasn't. I didn't even own one. But that didn't stop her from looking. I walked toward the elevator, and I could feel the atmosphere shifting around me. Like everyone knew something. By the time I reached my floor, the whispers had already started. Not loud. Just enough. I walked past two women near the break room, and they stopped talking mid-sentence. I sat down at my desk and turned on my computer. My hands were steady, but my chest felt tight. A few minutes later, my assistant, Claire, popped her head around the corner. "Hey. You okay?" Claire was 24 and sweet in a way that still felt real. She hadn't learned the office art of fake concern yet. I gave her a small smile. "Yeah. Just tired." She hesitated, then stepped in closer. "People are talking." I exhaled. "Of course they are." Claire lowered her voice. "They said you got married Friday. But not to Ethan." My stomach dropped. "So it's already out." I forced my expression to stay neutral. "People say a lot of things." Claire looked like she wanted to ask more, but she didn't. She just nodded. "Okay. Well, you've got a meeting at 9. Conference room B. Thanks." She lingered another second. "And Emma?" "Yeah. If you need anything, I'm here." I swallowed past the lump in my throat. "Thank you." When she left, I stared at my screen. Emails. Deadlines. Client notes. Work didn't care that my life was on fire. It just kept coming. At 9, I walked into the meeting room and sat down at the table. My manager, Greg, looked up and smiled. "Emma, congratulations." My blood ran cold. Congratulations. The word sounded like a joke. A few people clapped, awkward and scattered. My face felt hot. "Thanks," I said, keeping my voice steady. Greg tilted his head like he was trying to read me. "How's married life treating you?" I held his gaze. "Busy." A few people laughed, but it sounded forced. The meeting started. I took notes. I spoke when I needed to. I smiled when I had to. But my skin felt too tight, like I was holding myself together with tape. During a break, I went to the restroom. I barely made it into the stall before the nausea hit hard. I leaned forward, breathing through it, gripping the toilet paper holder like it was a lifeline. Morning sickness. Or stress. Probably both. I heard the door open. Two voices. I recognized them immediately. Jessica and Lauren from the media team. They didn't know I was there. "Oh my God, did you hear?" "Yeah. She really did it." "That's insane." "I know. Apparently Ethan didn't show up again." Third time, Lauren whispered like she was savoring it. Third time. Jessica let out a dramatic gasp. "No wonder she looks like death. I would too." Then Lauren giggled, and it made my stomach turn. The wild part is she didn't even go home. She married some random guy who was also dumped. Jessica snorted. "That's not romance. That's a mental breakdown." I clenched my jaw so hard my teeth hurt. Lauren's voice dropped even lower. "I heard the guy is hot though." Jessica laughed. "Girl, hot doesn't mean safe. He could be a scammer. Or worse." Lauren sighed. "Still. At least she finally got a ring out of someone." The toilet flushed in the stall next to mine. I stepped out of mine slowly. Jessica and Lauren froze the second they saw me. Their faces went pale. I walked to the sink, turned on the water, and washed my hands slowly. The water ran loud in the silence. In the mirror, my eyes looked sharp and cold. Jessica, Lauren, it's fine. I grabbed my tote bag, making sure the marriage certificate was inside. Then I walked toward the elevator like I was heading into a storm. In the lobby cafe, Ethan was sitting at a table near the window. The moment he saw me, he stood up like a man who thought he still had rights to my attention. His hair was messy. His shirt wrinkled. His eyes bloodshot. He looked like he hadn't slept. Good. He deserved that. Emma, he said, stepping forward. I held up my hand. Don't. He froze. I sat down across from him. We can talk here. Ethan's face twisted like he couldn't decide whether to look angry or apologetic. Do you know I've been looking for you all weekend? I stared at him. I didn't ask you to. Where were you? Who is he? Did he force you? I almost laughed. Force me? Ethan, nobody forced me. He leaned forward. This isn't you. You're not impulsive. You're not reckless. You don't just marry a stranger. I blinked slowly. You're right. I don't. I leaned in too, voice low. You pushed me there. Ethan's eyes widened. I did not. Yes, you did. He shook his head hard. Emma, I was late one more time. That's it. One more time. It was a work emergency. You weren't late, I said, my voice calm in a way that scared even me. You didn't show up. Third time. His jaw clenched. This time was different. It's always different, I said. There's always a reason. Always an emergency. Always something more important than me. Ethan's eyes flashed. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. I stared at him. I understood it for 3 years. I understood it while I waited. I understood it while I made excuses for you. I understood it while I sat alone in that office with a pregnancy test in my purse. His face changed. The baby. He said it like it tasted bitter. So that's what this is. You got pregnant and panicked, so you married the first guy you saw. My hands went cold. Don't talk about me like that. Ethan's voice rose. That is my child. I leaned back slightly. And you didn't even show up to marry his mother. Ethan's breathing turned rough. We can fix this. We can get married today. Right now. Come on. He reached across the table like he was going to grab my hand. I pulled back. Too late. Ethan's eyes went wild. Emma, don't do this. I pulled my phone out, opened the photo I'd taken of the marriage certificate, and slid it across the table. Ethan stared at it. His face went white. Then red. Then something darker. He pushed the phone back like it burned him. You did this to hurt me. I stared at him. No. I did it to save myself. Ethan's mouth tightened. You're cold. I let out a small breath. Funny. That's what you made me. He leaned forward, voice dropping into something sharp and ugly. You think this is over? It is. No, it's not, he hissed. You're pregnant with my child. You don't get to just erase me. I felt my stomach twist. Watch your tone. Ethan's eyes flicked around, noticing people watching. He forced his voice down, but his words were poison. Then get rid of it. The air went still. I stared at him. What did you just say? His jaw clenched like he couldn't believe he'd said it either, but he didn't take it back. Get rid of it. Or have it and give it to me. I'm not letting my kid be raised by some stranger you married out of spite. My vision blurred. I didn't know if I wanted to slap him or throw up. I stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor. You disgust me. Ethan stood too. Emma, wait. I stepped back. Don't contact me again. He grabbed my wrist. My body went rigid. Let go. Ethan's grip tightened. You're not leaving. Not like this. A calm voice cut through the tension. Let her go. Ethan froze. I turned my head. Ryan was standing a few feet away, expression flat and deadly calm. He walked closer, eyes on Ethan's hand around my wrist. Ethan scoffed. And who the hell are you? Ryan's voice didn't change. Her husband. Ethan's eyes flicked to me, then back to Ryan. You're kidding. Ryan stepped closer. This is America. Grabbing someone like that is assault. Let her go. Ethan's grip loosened slightly. I yanked my wrist free and stepped behind Ryan without thinking. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. Ethan glared. So you're the guy who picked up my leftovers. Ryan didn't react. Ethan's smile turned cruel. You know she's pregnant with my kid, right? Ryan's eyes stayed on Ethan. I know. Ethan barked out a laugh. And you still married her? Ryan's voice dropped. Who she marries is none of your business. Ethan took a step forward. You don't get it. She's mine. Ryan stepped forward too, and suddenly Ethan looked smaller. If you harass my wife again, Ryan said, I'll call the police. Ethan's eyes flashed. Call them. Let's see what they say when they hear your wife is pregnant with another man's kid. Ryan didn't blink. They'll say you need to leave her alone. Ethan sneered. Or what? Ryan leaned in slightly, voice low. Or I make sure you regret it. Something in Ryan's tone made Ethan pause. Not fear exactly. But calculation. Ethan's gaze flicked to me, then back to Ryan. This isn't over, he spat. Then he stormed out of the cafe, shoulders stiff. Ryan didn't move until Ethan was gone. Then he turned to me. Are you okay? My breath shook. No. Ryan nodded once, like he already knew. Come on. He guided me outside with a hand hovering near my back, not touching but ready. The moment we stepped into the open air, my legs went weak. I leaned against the wall, dizzy. A sharp cramp hit low in my abdomen. I gasped and pressed my hand to my stomach. Ryan's face changed instantly. Emma. I swallowed hard. It's fine. Just stress. Ryan's jaw tightened. We're going to the doctor. I shook my head. No. I can't. I have work. I can't. Ryan cut me off. You're pregnant. That comes first. I stared at him, tears burning my eyes. Why do you care? Ryan's voice softened just slightly. Because you're my wife. And for the first time, the word didn't sound like a joke. It sounded like a promise. He opened the car door for me. Get in. I did. And as the city blurred past the window, one thought kept circling in my head like a warning. If Ethan was willing to say something that cruel in public, what would he do in private? And if Ryan was willing to step in like that, what exactly had I married myself into? I didn't know. But I knew one thing. I wasn't alone anymore. Whether that was a blessing or a new kind of danger, I still hadn't figured out. Ryan drove like he was trying to keep the world from touching me. Not fast. Not reckless. Just steady, focused, like every red light was an enemy and every stop sign was something he had to negotiate with patience. I sat in the passenger seat with both hands on my stomach, breathing shallowly. The cramp had eased, but the fear stayed. My mind kept replaying Ethan's words. Get rid of it. Or have it and give it to me. Like my body was a vending machine and he was entitled to whatever came out. I swallowed hard and looked out the window. Ryan's voice was calm. I'm taking you to an urgent care. They can check you out. I shook my head. If I answer, she'll scream. And I can't take it right now. Ryan's jaw tightened slightly. She'll calm down eventually. I let out a humorless laugh. You don't know my mother. Ryan's mouth twitched. Fair. A nurse called my name. Emma Hart. I stood slowly. Ryan stood too. The nurse glanced at him. He coming? Ryan didn't hesitate. Yes. The nurse raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. Okay. She led us down a hallway into a small exam room. I sat on the table, paper crinkling under me. Ryan stood near the wall like he didn't know where to put his hands. The nurse took my blood pressure, temperature, asked questions. Then she looked at Ryan. Are you the father? The air went still. My stomach twisted. Ryan's voice stayed even. No. The nurse looked between us, clearly confused. Okay. She wrote something down. Then she said, softly, almost to me. Are you safe at home? My throat tightened. Yes. Ryan's eyes flicked to me, sharp. I nodded. Yes, I repeated. I'm safe. The nurse gave a small nod. Okay. The provider will be in soon. When she left, the silence returned. Ryan stared at the floor for a moment. Then he said quietly. I'm sorry he said that to you. I blinked. Ethan. My chest tightened. It's not your fault. Ryan's jaw clenched. No. But it's my problem now. I looked at him. Why? Ryan met my eyes. Because you're my wife. There it was again. That word. It still made my stomach flip, but not in a bad way. More like a warning bell. A provider came in, a woman in her 30s with kind eyes. Hi, Emma. I'm Dr. Patel. She glanced at Ryan. And you are? Ryan cleared his throat. Ryan Cole. I'm with her. Dr. Patel nodded without judgment. Okay. She asked me questions, pressed gently on my abdomen, then ordered blood work and a quick ultrasound. When they wheeled the ultrasound machine in, my hands started shaking. I wasn't prepared for this. Not yet. I thought I had time. Dr. Patel dimmed the lights and lifted my shirt slightly, keeping everything professional. Cold gel hit my skin and I flinched. Sorry, she said softly. The screen flickered. Gray shapes. Nothing that looked like a baby. My heart pounded. I stared so hard my eyes hurt. Dr. Patel moved the wand slightly, concentrating. Then she paused. There. She angled the screen a little toward me. A tiny circle appeared. And inside it, a faint flicker. Dr. Patel smiled. That's the heartbeat. My breath caught. My eyes burned instantly. I didn't even realize I was crying until a tear slid down my cheek. I pressed my hand to my mouth, trying not to make a sound. Ryan's breath hitched beside me. I glanced at him. He was staring at the screen like he couldn't look away. His face wasn't soft. It was stunned. Like something inside him had shifted without permission. Dr. Patel kept her voice gentle. Everything looks normal for this stage. The cramping can happen. Stress can make it worse. But I don't see signs of miscarriage. My whole body sagged with relief. Okay, I whispered. Okay. Dr. Patel cleaned the gel and turned the lights back on. She handed me tissues. Try to rest. Hydrate. Avoid heavy lifting. And I want you to schedule an OB appointment as soon as possible. I nodded. Yes. Dr. Patel looked at me seriously. And Emma, If there's anyone in your life causing you stress or making you feel unsafe, you need to distance yourself. Pregnancy is hard enough without emotional trauma. My throat tightened. I understand. She gave a small nod. Okay. I'll have the nurse come in with your paperwork. When she left, I sat there wiping my face, trying to breathe. Ryan was still standing beside me, hands in his pockets. He didn't speak for a moment. Then he said quietly. Heartbeat. I nodded, voice shaky. Yeah. Ryan swallowed. That's real. I let out a soft laugh through tears. It's been real. I just didn't let myself feel it. Ryan's eyes stayed on me. Are you keeping it? The question hit me like a weight. I stared down at my hands. I don't know. Ryan nodded slowly. Okay. No judgment. No pressure. Just okay. I wiped my face again. Thank you for coming with me. Ryan's voice was low. I meant it when I said you weren't doing this alone. My chest ached. I believed him. On the way out, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. My stomach tightened. I didn't answer. It buzzed again. Then again. Ryan noticed. Ethan. I nodded. He's using different numbers. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Block them. I have. He keeps making new ones. Ryan's jaw tightened like he was making a decision. Give me your phone. I blinked. What? Give me your phone, he repeated. Please. Something in his tone made me hand it over. Ryan opened my settings, moved with quick confidence, and did something I didn't even know existed. Silence unknown callers, he said. He handed it back. Now if he calls from a new number, it won't ring. My throat tightened. Thank you. Ryan nodded once. Good. We walked out into the sun. I squinted, feeling like I'd been underground for years and suddenly the world was too bright. Ryan opened the car door again. Before I got in, I paused. Ryan. Yeah. Why were you at my building? He didn't pretend not to understand. He leaned against the car, looking at me. I figured he'd show up. My stomach dropped. You followed me? Not like that, he said quickly. I wasn't stalking you. I didn't like the idea of you being alone if he came back. My chest tightened. So you waited. Ryan nodded. In the parking lot. I saw him walk in. And you came in. Yeah. I stared at him. You didn't have to do that. Ryan's voice was quiet. You don't get to tell me what I have to do. I blinked. What? He exhaled, eyes hard. You spent years telling yourself what you had to do to keep him happy. To keep things calm. To keep the peace. His gaze held mine. I'm not doing that. I felt tears threaten again. Ryan. He shook his head slightly, like he didn't want to get emotional. Get in the car, Emma. I did. He drove me home. When we got to my apartment, I expected him to drop me off and leave. But he parked and came inside with me anyway. My apartment looked like it always had. Small, cozy, lived in. Soft throw blanket on the couch. A stack of mail on the counter. A candle I never lit. Ryan stood near the doorway, taking it in. This feels like you, he said quietly. I blinked. What does that mean? He shrugged. It's warm. Not sterile. I gave a small smile. Thanks, I think. Ryan's phone buzzed. He checked it and frowned. I need to take this, he said, stepping onto my balcony. I watched him through the glass door. He spoke quietly, but his posture changed. More rigid. More controlled. When he came back, Ryan continued, quieter now. Third thing. I blinked. What? We decide what you want to do about the baby. My chest tightened. That's my decision. Ryan nodded. It is. He held my gaze. But if you keep it, I need to know what you expect from me. I stared at him, my throat dry. I don't expect anything. Ryan's eyes didn't soften. That's not an answer. I swallowed. I don't know what I expect. Ryan nodded slowly, like he respected that. Okay. He set his mug down. Then he stood. I should go. My heart jumped. Oh. Ryan glanced at me. I'll check on you tonight. Okay. He walked toward the door. Then paused, his hand on the knob. Emma. Yeah. He looked at me, expression unreadable. I'm not doing this for Ethan. I blinked. What? Ryan's voice was quiet but firm. I'm not playing hero to prove something to him. I'm not competing with him. He held my gaze. I'm doing it because I chose to marry you. And choices mean something. My throat tightened. Ryan. He nodded once, like he was done talking. I'll see you tonight. Then he left. The door clicked shut behind him, and the silence in my apartment rushed in like a wave. I sat on the couch for a long time, staring at the coffee mug he'd left on the table. His fingerprints were on it. A tiny, stupid detail. But it made my chest ache. I stood and walked to the window. Outside, life moved on. Cars passed. A dog barked. A couple laughed as they walked down the sidewalk. Normal. I pressed my hand to my stomach again. Heartbeat. I closed my eyes. What kind of life was I bringing this baby into? And what kind of man was Ryan Cole, really? Because he wasn't soft. He wasn't romantic. He wasn't trying to charm me. But he was there. And for the first time in years, I realized how rare that was. My phone buzzed. A text. From Ryan. Lock your door. Drink water. Try to sleep. I stared at the message. Then, without thinking, I typed back. Okay. And for some reason, that one word felt like the beginning of something I didn't know how to name yet. That night, I didn't really sleep. I laid in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to every little sound in my apartment like it might be danger. The fridge humming. A car door shutting outside. Footsteps in the hallway. Every noise made my heart jump. Around 11:30, my phone buzzed again. Ryan. I'm outside. I sat up so fast I got dizzy. I grabbed my robe and walked to the door, peeking through the peephole. Ryan stood there holding a small paper bag in one hand, his shoulders slightly hunched like he was trying to make himself look less intimidating. I unlocked the door. You didn't have to come back, I whispered. Ryan stepped inside. I wanted to. He held out the bag. Food. I blinked. It smelled like warm bread and something savory. I didn't eat much today, I admitted. I know, he said, like it wasn't a guess. He walked to my kitchen and set the bag down, then looked around. You have plates? Yes, I said, pointing. Top cabinet. He moved like he belonged there, like he'd done this before. He pulled out 2 plates, set them on the counter, and started unpacking the bag. Chicken noodle soup. A sandwich. Crackers. A bottle of orange juice. I stared. This is, very specific. Ryan shrugged. My mom used to bring this stuff when I was sick. The word mom made his voice change slightly. Softer. Not emotional, but human. I swallowed. Thank you. He glanced at me. Sit. I sat at the small table. Ryan served the soup without asking, then slid it toward me. Eat. I picked up the spoon. The first sip burned my throat in the best way. I hadn't realized how hungry I was until the warmth hit my stomach. Ryan sat across from me, watching without being obvious. You okay? He asked. I nodded. Better. He leaned back slightly. Good. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Not awkward silence. More like, exhausted silence. Two people too tired to pretend. After I finished half the bowl, I looked up. Ryan. Yeah. Why are you being so nice to me? His eyes narrowed, not angry, just caught off guard. Nice? You know what I mean. He stared at the table for a second. Then he said quietly. Because I know what it feels like to get left. My chest tightened. He looked up at me. Not at a courthouse. Not like you. But, emotionally. He swallowed. You keep showing up for someone, and they keep acting like your love is optional. My eyes burned. I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. Ryan nodded once like he understood my silence. Then he changed the subject. Did he text you again? No, I said. Not since you changed the phone setting. Good. Ryan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small key. I blinked. What's that? My place. I froze. Ryan, no. He set it down on the table between us. Just in case. I stared at it like it was a live grenade. I can't take your key. You can, he said calmly. And you will. My throat tightened. That's a lot. It's a key, Emma. It's not a proposal. I let out a shaky laugh. We're literally married. Ryan's mouth twitched. Fair point. I picked up the key and held it in my palm. It felt heavy. Like responsibility. Like safety. Like a door I wasn't sure I wanted to walk through. I slid it into my pocket. Okay. Ryan nodded. Good. He stood up and started cleaning the table, stacking dishes like he was on autopilot. I watched him. You don't have to do that. He glanced at me. I know. But I'm doing it anyway. I stood too, drying my hands on my robe. What about you? I asked. What about me? You said you got left too. Ryan paused. Then he rinsed a bowl slowly. My ex, Claire, she always had a reason. A deadline. A trip. A meeting. A friend who needed her. And every time I complained, she'd say I was being dramatic. I swallowed. That sounds familiar. Ryan gave a humorless laugh. Yeah. The last time was the worst. I was standing there, dressed up, holding flowers like an idiot. She texted me that she couldn't do it. I stared. She didn't even call. Ryan shook his head. No. My chest tightened. I'm sorry. Ryan shrugged, but his shoulders were stiff. It's done. Then he looked at me. And then I met you. I didn't know what to say to that. So I didn't. Ryan dried his hands and leaned against the counter. We should talk about tomorrow. My stomach dropped. Tomorrow. Real life. Work. My mom. Ethan. The baby. I nodded. Okay. Ryan's voice was practical. If Ethan shows up again, you don't engage. You don't argue. You don't negotiate. I swallowed. He's good at pushing buttons. Ryan nodded. That's why you don't let him close enough to touch them. My throat tightened. Okay. Second, you should tell your mom. Emma, where the hell were you yesterday? I held the phone away from my ear for a second, then brought it back. Hi, Mom. Don't hi me. Did you marry him? I swallowed. Yes. A pause. Then her voice went sharp. Are you out of your mind? I closed my eyes. Mom, please just listen. No. You listen. You are 29 years old. You do not marry strangers in government buildings like you're signing up for a gym membership. Ryan's eyes stayed on me, calm. I took a breath. He's not a stranger anymore. What is his name? Ryan Cole. Where is he from? California, I lied quickly, because I couldn't think. Ryan's eyebrow lifted slightly. My mom kept going. And what does he do? I swallowed. He owns a small business. Not a lie. A long silence. Then my mom's voice lowered. Is this because Ethan cheated? My stomach dropped. What? She sighed sharply. Don't act surprised. Everyone can see it. He's been acting shady for months. I gripped my mug. He didn't cheat, I said automatically, still stuck in old defense mode. My mom snorted. Honey, he stood you up 3 times. That is cheating in spirit if nothing else. My throat tightened. I didn't answer. My mom continued, calmer now. Are you safe? I blinked. Yes. Are you happy? That one hurt. Happy wasn't the right word. I stared at Ryan. He didn't speak. Just waited. I swallowed. I'm okay. My mom sighed again, exhausted. Okay. Then listen to me. I don't approve. But I'm not going to abandon you. My eyes burned. Mom. She cut me off. I want to meet him. I froze. Today. This week. I glanced at Ryan, panic rising. Okay, I said. My mom's voice softened slightly. And Emma. Yeah. If you're pregnant. My whole body went cold. How would she even guess that? My mom's voice went quiet. Don't handle it alone. Tears stung my eyes. I won't. She hung up. I stared at my phone like it had just changed my entire life again. Ryan watched me. That went better than expected. I let out a shaky laugh. Yeah. I wiped my eyes. She wants to meet you. Ryan nodded once. Okay. Just like that. No hesitation. No fear. I stared at him. You're not even nervous. Ryan's mouth twitched. I'm nervous. Then why do you look so calm? Because panic doesn't solve problems, he said. I stared down at my coffee. I wish I could be like that. Ryan's voice softened. You're stronger than you think. My chest tightened. I didn't respond. Because if I did, I might cry again. A few hours later, I got ready for work. Ryan insisted on driving me. I didn't fight him. It felt good not to fight. In the car, the radio played quietly. As we approached my building, I saw him. Ethan. He stood near the entrance like he owned the place, pacing like a predator. My stomach dropped. Ryan's grip tightened on the steering wheel. Stay in the car, he said. Ryan. Stay in the car. His voice was calm, but it left no room for argument. Ryan parked, got out, and walked toward Ethan. I watched through the windshield, my heart pounding. Ethan saw him and stiffened. Ryan stopped a few feet away. They exchanged words I couldn't hear. Ethan's hands started moving, animated, aggressive. Ryan didn't move much. Just stood there, shoulders squared. Then Ethan stepped closer. Too close. Ryan's posture shifted. A warning. Ethan pointed at the building, then at Ryan, then at my car. He was yelling now. People were staring. Ryan didn't raise his voice. He said something short. Ethan's face twisted with anger. Then he shoved Ryan. My breath caught. Ryan didn't stumble. He just grabbed Ethan's wrist and twisted it down, not violently, just enough to make Ethan freeze. Ethan's mouth opened in shock. Ryan leaned in and said something. Ethan's face went pale. Ryan released him and stepped back. Ethan stood there breathing hard, humiliated. Then he turned and walked away fast, like he suddenly remembered consequences existed. Ryan came back to the car and opened my door. You okay? He asked. My voice shook. What did you say to him? Ryan's eyes were cold. I told him if he touches you again, I'll press charges. My throat tightened. That's all. Ryan looked at me. And I told him I have friends who can make his life difficult. I blinked. You bluffed again. Ryan's mouth twitched. Yeah. Did it work? He glanced toward the sidewalk where Ethan had disappeared. For now. He walked me to the lobby doors. Before I went inside, I turned back. Ryan. Yeah. Thank you. His eyes held mine. Don't thank me. Then he added, softer. Just let me do my job. I blinked. Your job. Keeping you safe. My chest tightened. Okay. I walked inside, my heart still racing. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like I wasn't walking into battle alone. And that changed everything. Even if I didn't know where this was going yet. Even if I didn't know what Ryan and I were becoming. All I knew was this. When someone finally shows up for you, you start to realize how much you've been settling for. And you stop settling. By the time I got to my desk, the entire floor felt like it was vibrating with gossip. People weren't even trying to hide it anymore. They'd glance up when I walked by, then pretend to focus on their screens like I was invisible. I sat down, turned on my computer, and forced my hands to stop shaking. Focus. Just work. That was the only thing I could control. Sarah, my assistant, popped her head over the cubicle wall. Morning, Emma. Morning. She looked at me for a second longer than usual. You okay? I nodded. Yeah. Just tired. She didn't believe me, but she didn't push. Instead, she lowered her voice. Your ex is outside. My stomach dropped. I already saw him. Sarah's eyes widened. He tried to come in. Security told him he had to leave. I swallowed. Ryan handled it. Sarah blinked. Ryan? I hesitated. My husband. The word still felt unreal coming out of my mouth. Sarah's mouth fell open. Oh my God. Then she caught herself. Sorry. I mean, congratulations. Her voice sounded careful now, like she didn't know whether to celebrate or mourn. Thanks. Sarah stepped closer. Do you want me to tell HR? I hesitated. I should. But I didn't want this to become a whole thing. Not yet. Not until I knew how much Ethan was willing to escalate. Not yet, I said. If he comes back, then yes. Sarah nodded. Okay. I'll keep an eye out. She walked away, and I tried to breathe. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Ryan. You're inside. Good. I stared at it, my chest tightening. Then another text. Lunch today. I'll pick you up. I typed back before I could overthink. Okay. The rest of the morning was a blur. Meetings. We ended up at a small diner tucked between two buildings downtown. Nothing fancy. Just clean tables, good smells, and a waitress who called everyone honey. Ryan picked a booth in the back corner. We sat across from each other. For a moment, it felt almost normal. Then Ryan leaned forward slightly. "I got a call this morning," he said. My stomach tightened. "From who?" He paused. "Someone asking about you." My throat went dry. "Ethan?" Ryan nodded once. "He called one of my contacts. Tried to dig up information." My chest tightened. "What did he say?" Ryan's eyes hardened. "He said you were unstable. That you were pregnant and panicking. That I took advantage of you." My stomach turned. Of course he did. Ryan's voice stayed calm, but his jaw was tight. "I told him to stop contacting people in my life." I stared down at the table. "He's trying to make me look crazy." Ryan nodded. "That's what men like him do when they lose control." I swallowed hard. "What do we do?" Ryan's answer came instantly. "We document everything." I blinked. "Everything." "Screenshots. Call logs. If he shows up again, we file a report." I stared at him. "Ryan, that feels extreme." Ryan's eyes didn't soften. "Emma, he's escalating." My chest tightened. I nodded slowly. "Okay." The waitress brought food. I barely touched mine. Ryan ate like he always did. Efficient. Not rushed. Like he was fueling up for a fight. I watched him for a second. "You've done this before." Ryan paused. "What?" "This, protecting someone." Ryan's eyes flicked to mine. "Not like this." I swallowed. "Then why are you so good at it?" Ryan leaned back slightly. "Because I grew up around people who thought love was something you could bargain with." My chest tightened. He didn't say more. And I didn't push. After lunch, Ryan drove me back. Before I got out, he said quietly, "Your mom wants to meet me." I blinked. "Yeah. When?" "This weekend," I said, then grimaced. "If you're okay with that." Ryan nodded once. "I'm okay with it." I stared at him. "You don't even know what you're walking into." Ryan's mouth twitched. "I can handle it." I got out, walked into the building, and felt eyes on me again. The whispers followed me down the hallway like mosquitoes. I tried to ignore them. But at 2:30, I couldn't anymore. Two women from the marketing team were in the restroom, talking loud enough to be heard from the stalls. I heard Emma got married to some random guy. No way. Yes way. Like, literally same day. She got stood up and just married whoever was next in line. That is unhinged. Maybe she's pregnant. Shut up. That would be insane. My throat tightened. I stepped out of the stall. They froze when they saw me. Their faces went pale. I walked to the sink, washed my hands slowly, then looked at them in the mirror. "If you have questions about my personal life, ask me directly," I said calmly. They didn't speak. I dried my hands. "Otherwise, focus on your work." I walked out without another word, my heart pounding. I wasn't proud of myself for being calm. I was exhausted. That evening, when I left the building, Ryan was waiting again. He leaned against his SUV like he'd been there all day. "You didn't have to come," I said. He looked at me. "I wanted to." I got in the car. As he drove, he said casually, "I ran a background check on Ethan." I whipped my head toward him. "You what?" Ryan kept his eyes on the road. "It's legal. My stomach twisted. That's still a lot. Ryan's voice stayed flat. He has a history of harassment complaints. My chest went cold. What? Ryan nodded once. 2 women filed reports against him in the last 5 years. Nothing stuck. No charges. But it's on record. My throat tightened. I didn't know. Ryan glanced at me. Men like him pick women who don't know. Tears stung my eyes. I feel so stupid. Ryan's voice was sharp. Don't. I blinked. He continued, softer. You trusted someone. That's not stupidity. That's being human. I wiped my eyes quickly. Okay. When we got to my apartment, Ryan followed me inside again. I didn't even question it now. He checked my locks without asking, tested the windows, scanned the balcony. You're like a security guard, I muttered. Ryan glanced at me. Someone has to be. I sighed and sat on the couch. My body felt heavy. Ryan sat in the chair across from me. We were quiet for a while. Then I whispered. I saw the heartbeat yesterday. Ryan's eyes lifted. Yeah. And I didn't feel panic. Not for a second. I felt love. My voice cracked. And that scares me. Ryan didn't move. He just listened. I swallowed. Because if I love this baby, then I have something to lose. Ryan's gaze held mine. You already had something to lose. Yourself. My throat tightened. I stared at him. When did you get so good at saying things like that? Ryan's mouth twitched. I'm not good at it. I just mean it. I let out a shaky breath. Then I said it, barely audible. I think I want to keep it. Ryan's face didn't change much. But his eyes did. They softened. Okay, he said quietly. Just okay. But it didn't feel empty. It felt like a promise. I swallowed hard. You're not mad. Ryan frowned. Why would I be mad? Because it's not yours. Ryan's voice was steady. It's yours. And if you want it, I'm not going to be the man who makes you feel alone in it. My chest ached so badly I couldn't breathe for a second. I nodded, tears spilling over again. Ryan stood up and walked toward me, then hesitated like he didn't know if he was allowed. I lifted my arms slightly. He took the invitation. Ryan wrapped his arms around me, careful, not squeezing too tight. Just holding. I pressed my face into his shoulder and let myself cry. Not the messy, broken sobbing from before. This was different. This was release. Ryan's hand moved slowly on my back, steadying me. I heard his voice near my ear. We'll figure it out. I nodded against him. Okay. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I believed it. The next few days felt like walking through a house that had burned down, trying to pretend the walls were still standing. I went to work. I smiled when I had to. I kept my head down. And every time my phone buzzed, my stomach clenched like it was bracing for impact. Ethan didn't stop. He didn't show up at my building again, but he found other ways. He left voicemails from blocked numbers. He sent emails to my personal account. He messaged me on apps I hadn't opened in years. One night, he even sent a message through a mutual friend, like he was trying to prove he could reach me no matter what. Ryan told me not to answer. So I didn't. Instead, I took screenshots. Saved everything. Dated it. Documented it like Ryan said. It was surreal, collecting evidence of someone who used to sleep beside me. Someone I used to trust with my body, my plans, my future. Now I was saving his words like they were poison. On Thursday afternoon, my OB appointment was confirmed for the following week. Ryan insisted on coming. I told him he didn't have. We pulled onto a quiet road lined with big houses and manicured lawns. My mom's house sat back from the street, white siding, wide porch, a yard that looked like it belonged in a magazine. She was already outside when we pulled up, arms crossed like a judge waiting for court to begin. I swallowed hard. Here we go. Ryan parked and got out first, walking around to open my door. My mom watched that like she was collecting evidence. I stepped out. Mom. She walked forward and pulled me into a hug that was too tight. Her perfume hit my nose, familiar and sharp. Honey. Then she pulled back and looked at my face. You look tired. I forced a smile. I am. Her eyes flicked to Ryan. And you must be Ryan. Ryan stepped forward, calm, respectful. Yes, ma'am. Ryan Cole. My mom's eyebrows lifted slightly. Ma'am. Interesting choice. She held out her hand. Ryan shook it. Her grip was firm, testing. Ryan didn't flinch. She studied him for a moment. Then she said, bluntly. You're taller than Ethan. I almost choked. Ryan's mouth twitched like he was holding back a smile. Yes, ma'am. My mom nodded like she'd just confirmed something important. Come inside. The house smelled like roasted chicken and lemon cleaner. Everything was spotless. My mom didn't do casual. She did perfect. We sat in the living room for a few minutes while she offered iced tea. Ryan accepted. I did too. My mom sat across from us like she was interviewing a suspect. So, she began, looking at Ryan, how did you two meet? Ryan glanced at me briefly. Then he answered smoothly. We met through mutual friends. My mom narrowed her eyes. Which friends? Ryan didn't hesitate. Maya. My stomach tightened. He used Maya's name without warning. But it made sense. Maya was real. And she was loud enough that my mom would believe she could have introduced us. My mom looked at me. Maya introduced you? I nodded quickly. Yes. My mom hummed like she didn't fully buy it, but she let it go. And you got married after, what, a few weeks? Ryan's voice stayed calm. We moved fast. My mom's eyes sharpened. Why? Ryan met her gaze. Because I knew what I wanted. The room went still. My mom didn't blink. And what did you want? Ryan's voice was steady. Emma. My throat tightened. My mom's expression didn't soften, but something shifted. She leaned back slightly. Interesting. She took a sip of her tea. What do you do for work, Ryan? Ryan answered easily. I run a consulting company. Mostly risk management and corporate security. My mom's eyebrows lifted. Corporate security. So you're, what, a bodyguard? Ryan's mouth twitched. Not exactly. More like I help companies identify vulnerabilities before they become problems. My mom nodded slowly. So you're paranoid. Ryan didn't react. I'm prepared. My mom stared at him. Then she smiled. Not warm. Not friendly. But amused. Okay. She stood. Dinner's almost ready. While she went to the kitchen, I leaned toward Ryan and whispered. You're doing great. Ryan murmured back. Your mom is terrifying. I almost laughed. She is. Dinner was long. And sharp. My mom asked questions like she was trying to catch him in a lie. Where did you grow up? California. What part? San Diego. Where did you go to school? UCLA. My mom's eyes flicked to me like she was checking if I knew that. I kept my expression neutral. Ryan didn't miss a beat. Do you have family? Yes, ma'am. Are they nearby? My father passed away. My mother lives in California. My mom's expression softened just a fraction. I'm sorry. Ryan nodded. Thank you. My mom's eyes shifted to me. And you, Emma? How are you? I swallowed. I'm okay. My mom's gaze sharpened. Are you pregnant? The question hit like a slap. Ryan's fork paused. My stomach dropped. I froze. I could lie. I could deny it. But my mom wasn't asking because she wasn't sure. She was asking because she already knew. Maybe she'd noticed the nausea. The tiredness. The way I didn't drink wine. My throat tightened. Yes, I whispered. My mom exhaled slowly. Okay. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were fierce. Is it Ethan's? Silence. Ryan didn't move. He didn't speak. He let me answer. I swallowed hard. Yes. My mom's jaw clenched. I knew it. I felt tears burn. Mom. She held up a hand. No. She looked at Ryan. And you married her anyway. Ryan's voice was steady. Yes, ma'am. My mom stared at him. Why? Ryan didn't blink. Because she deserved someone who wouldn't abandon her when things got complicated. My throat tightened so hard it hurt. My mom's eyes shimmered for half a second, then she blinked it away. She looked back at me. Is Ethan bothering you? I nodded. Yes. My mom's hand tightened around her fork. Of course he is. She glanced at Ryan. And you're okay with this? Ryan answered calmly. I'm not okay with Ethan harassing her. But I'm okay with Emma. My mom leaned back, studying him. Then she said something I didn't expect. Okay. Just okay. But coming from my mother, it sounded like approval. After dinner, my mom told us to sit on the porch while she cleaned up. I tried to help. She shooed me away like I was fragile glass. Outside, the air was cool. The porch light glowed soft yellow. Ryan sat beside me on the steps, shoulders relaxed. I stared out at the yard. I thought she'd scream. Ryan glanced at me. She wanted to. She didn't. I swallowed. She's trying. Ryan nodded. Yeah. I sat quietly for a moment. Then I whispered. Thank you for letting me tell her. Ryan's voice was low. You did it. I shook my head. I couldn't have without you here. Ryan's gaze stayed on me. You're stronger than you think. I stared at him. You keep saying that. Because it's true. My chest ached. I looked down at my hands. What if she hates you later? Ryan's mouth twitched. Then she hates me later. I blinked. That's it? Ryan shrugged. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to be solid. Solid. The word hit me harder than it should have. Because Ethan had never been solid. He'd been charming. Fun. Exciting. But never solid. My mom stepped out onto the porch with 2 mugs of tea. She handed one to me, one to Ryan. Then she sat in the chair across from us. Ryan, she said. Yes, ma'am. She leaned forward slightly. I don't know what your intentions are. Ryan met her gaze. I understand. My mom's voice stayed sharp. But if you hurt my daughter, I will make your life miserable. Ryan nodded once. Fair. My mom blinked. Fair. Ryan's mouth twitched. Yes, ma'am. My mom stared at him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed. I reached for it. Unknown number. I stared at the screen. Then another message popped up. You think you can hide from me? My blood ran cold. Ryan saw my face change. What is it? I swallowed, voice shaking. Ethan. Ryan's jaw clenched. He found you. I stared at the message again, my heart pounding. And deep down, I knew. This was only the beginning. I didn't answer the text. I didn't even breathe for a second. I just stared at the screen like it was a loaded gun. Ryan sat up slowly beside me, his hand still on mine. His voice was low. Let me see. I handed him the phone. Ryan read the message once, then again, like he was memorizing it. His jaw tightened. He found this number. I whispered. He always finds a way. Ryan's eyes stayed hard. Not tonight. He handed my phone back. Turn it off. I did. My fingers were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. Ryan stood up, grabbed his hoodie from the chair, and walked to the window. He pulled the curtain back slightly and scanned the yard. My mom's yard was quiet. Dark. Still. But suddenly it didn't feel safe anymore. I whispered. Do you think he's here? Ryan didn't answer immediately. He kept looking outside. Then he said quietly. I don't know. My stomach twisted. That terrified me more than a yes. Because Ryan didn't say I don't know unless he really didn't know. He finally stepped back from the window and turned to me. Get your shoes on. I blinked. What? Ryan's voice stayed calm. We're leaving. My heart pounded. It's 2 a.m. I don't care, he said. We're not staying here if he's close enough to threaten you. My throat tightened. What about my mom? Ryan's eyes flicked toward the door. We wake her up. We tell her. We go. I nodded, my chest tight. Okay. Ryan moved fast, controlled. He grabbed my bag, tossed it toward me. I shoved my feet into sneakers with shaking hands. Ryan opened the bedroom door and stepped into the hallway. The house was dark, quiet, except for the soft hum of the AC. He moved toward my mom's room like he'd been here 100 times. He knocked once, then again. Mrs. Hart, he said, voice low but firm. It's Ryan. We need to talk. A light clicked on. The door opened a crack. My mom's face appeared, hair messy, eyes sharp, even half asleep. What is it? Ryan didn't waste time. Ethan contacted Emma. We think he may have found the house. My mom's face changed instantly. Her eyes went cold. What did he say? Ryan glanced at me. I swallowed. He texted, you think you can hide from me? My mom's jaw clenched so hard I could hear it. That son of a... She stopped herself, took a breath. Then she looked at Ryan. You're leaving? Yes, ma'am. My mom nodded once. Good. She turned to me. Get your things. I'll call the sheriff. My stomach dropped. Mom, you don't have to. Yes, I do, she snapped. This is my property. If he steps foot here, I want it on record. Ryan nodded like he approved. My mom disappeared back into her room. I stood in the hallway, heart pounding. Ryan's voice was quiet. You okay? I shook my head. No. Ryan nodded. Me neither. We went downstairs. My mom was already in the kitchen in a robe, phone to her ear, voice low and furious. Yes, he's been harassing her. Yes, she's pregnant. Yes, I want someone to drive by tonight. She listened, then nodded. Thank you. She hung up and looked at us. You two go. Now. I swallowed. Mom. She stepped forward and grabbed my face gently, like I was 5 years old again. Honey, listen to me. Her voice softened, but her eyes stayed fierce. Men like Ethan don't stop because you ask nicely. They stop when consequences show up. I nodded, tears burning. Okay. She looked at Ryan. Drive safe. Ryan nodded. Yes, ma'am. Then my mom's eyes narrowed slightly. And Ryan. Yeah. Thank you. Ryan blinked like he wasn't expecting that. Then he nodded once. Of course. We left through the front door. The night air hit my skin like ice. Ryan moved me toward the car quickly, scanning the street. His SUV was parked near the curb. He opened my door. Get in. I did. He shut it, then walked around and got in the driver's seat. The engine started, quiet and smooth. As we pulled away, I looked back at my mom's house. The porch light was still on. She stood there watching us leave like a soldier guarding her territory. My chest ached. I didn't want her pulled into this. But she already was. Ryan drove for 20 minutes before he spoke. We're going to my place. I nodded. Okay. My hands were clenched in my lap. Ryan glanced at me. Breathe. I forced a breath in. Then another. Then my phone buzzed again in my bag, even though it was off. I froze. Ryan's eyes flicked toward my bag. What is it? I swallowed. I turned it back on without thinking. Ryan's jaw tightened. Emma. I know, I whispered. I need to know. I pulled it out. A voicemail notification. From unknown number. My throat tightened. I pressed play, against every instinct. Ethan's voice came through, low and furious. You really think you can run from me? I swallowed hard. Ryan's face was stone. Ethan kept talking. You don't get to steal my kid and hide behind some random guy. I felt sick. Ryan's hand tightened on the steering wheel. Ethan's voice turned sharper. I know where you are. I know where your mom lives. You think you're protected? My blood ran cold. Then Ethan laughed softly. I'll see you soon. The voicemail ended. The car was silent except for the road noise. My whole body was shaking. Ryan's voice was low. That's a threat. I nodded, barely able to speak. Yes. Ryan's jaw clenched. We're going to the police in the morning. My throat tightened. He hasn't done anything yet. Ryan's eyes flashed. He just threatened you and your mother. That's enough. I swallowed. Okay. When we got to Ryan's apartment, he parked in the garage and guided me inside quickly. The elevator ride was silent. The moment we got in, Ryan locked the door, then checked the balcony. He pulled the curtains shut. Then he turned to me. Sit. I sat on the couch, my legs weak. Ryan knelt in front of me. Look at me. I forced my eyes to his. His voice was steady. You're safe here. My throat tightened. Are you sure? Ryan's gaze didn't waver. Yes. I swallowed hard. How can you be sure? Ryan's voice dropped. Because I don't scare easily. And because I'm not letting him win. I stared at him. He stood and walked to the kitchen, grabbing a glass of water and bringing it back. Drink. I took it with shaking hands and sipped. Ryan sat across from me. We're filing a report tomorrow. And we're getting a restraining order. My stomach twisted. I nodded. Okay. Ryan's eyes narrowed slightly. And you're not going anywhere alone. Ryan walked me to the car. His hand hovered near my back again, protective. In the car, I stared out the window. I hate this, I whispered. Ryan's voice was quiet. I know. I swallowed. I hate that he still has power over me. Ryan glanced at me. He doesn't. I shook my head. He does. He can make me panic with one voicemail. Ryan's voice stayed steady. That's not power. That's trauma. I blinked. Trauma. The word made my chest tighten. Ryan continued. Power is what you do next. And you're doing the right thing. I swallowed hard. Okay. We drove in silence for a while. Then Ryan said quietly. We should talk about living arrangements. My stomach dropped. Living arrangements. I looked at him. What do you mean? Ryan's eyes stayed on the road. I mean, you can't stay alone. Not right now. My chest tightened. So what, I move in with you. Ryan glanced at me briefly. Yes. My heart pounded. That feels fast. Ryan's mouth twitched. We're already married. I let out a shaky laugh. That doesn't mean we have to play house. Ryan's voice stayed calm. We're not playing. We're surviving. The word hit me. Surviving. I stared down at my hands. Okay, I whispered. Ryan nodded once. Okay. And just like that, my life shifted again. Not because I wanted romance. Not because I wanted a fairy tale. But because fear had forced my hand. And Ryan was the only steady thing I had left. When we got back to his apartment, Ryan handed me a spare key again, even though I already had one. Keep it on you. I nodded. Okay. He looked at me. Pack what you need. We'll get the rest later. I swallowed. Later. Later felt like a different lifetime. I walked into his guest room, sat on the bed, and stared at the wall. This was my new reality. A husband I barely knew. A baby on the way. An ex who wouldn't let go. And a future I couldn't see. My phone buzzed. A text from Maya. Are you okay? I heard Ethan went crazy again. I stared at it. Then I typed back. I'm okay. I'm with Ryan. I hit send. Then I stared at the words. With Ryan. It sounded like a choice. Like a commitment. And I didn't know if I was ready for that. But I knew this. Ryan was here. And Ethan wasn't. And right now, that was everything. Moving in with Ryan wasn't romantic. It wasn't candles and laughter and that soft, warm feeling people talk about when they say love saved them. It was me standing in his guest room with a suitcase half-packed, staring at the clean walls like I was trying to convince myself I hadn't just given up my entire life. Ryan didn't hover. He didn't crowd me. He gave me space, but not distance. Like he was close enough to catch me if I fell, but far enough to let me stand on my own. That first night, he ordered takeout. Not because he couldn't cook. Because he didn't want me to think I had to perform. He set the bags on the counter and looked at me. You want rice or noodles? I blinked. That's the question. Ryan's mouth twitched. It's dinner. I let out a small laugh, surprised it came out at all. Rice. Ryan nodded. Rice. We ate at his small dining table again. The apartment was quiet except for the soft hum of the AC. After a few minutes, I noticed something. There were no photos anywhere. No family pictures. No friends. No childhood memories on the walls. It was like Ryan had built a life that left no fingerprints. I set my fork down. Can I ask you something? Ryan looked up. Yeah. Why don't you have any pictures? Ryan paused. His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes shifted. I don't like reminders. My chest tightened. Of what? Ryan's gaze dropped to his plate. People. My throat went dry. He didn't say more. I waited. But Ryan didn't fill the silence. So I nodded slowly. Okay. Later, I went into the guest room and shut the door. I sat on the bed and stared at my suitcase. The only clothes I'd brought were practical. Work outfits. Sweatpants. Underwear. No dresses. No date night anything. Like my body already knew romance wasn't the goal here. I changed into pajamas and lay down. The sheets smelled like detergent and nothing else. Clean. Safe. Still, my mind wouldn't stop. Ethan's voice in the voicemail. I'll see you soon. My mom's fierce eyes on the porch. Consequences show up. Ryan's calm voice at the police station. We'll do it. I pressed my hand to my stomach. Heartbeat. My baby. I whispered into the dark. I'm going to keep you safe. I didn't know if that was a promise or a prayer. The next morning, Ryan was already awake. I could hear him in the kitchen, moving quietly. When I stepped out, he looked up. Morning. Morning. He handed me a mug of ginger tea instead of coffee. I blinked. How did you know? Ryan shrugged. Nausea. Ginger helps. My chest tightened. Thank you. He nodded once, like it wasn't a big deal. But it was. Because Ethan never noticed details unless it benefited him. Ryan noticed details because he paid attention. That scared me. Because attention creates attachment. And attachment creates pain. Ryan glanced at his phone, then at me. We're going to the courthouse today. My stomach dropped. Today? Ryan nodded. Protective order paperwork. I swallowed. Okay. We drove downtown. The courthouse looked too familiar. Same kind of building. Same kind of air. Government fluorescent lights that made everyone look tired and pale. As we walked in, my heart pounded. I could almost smell that first day again. The day Ethan didn't show. The day I married Ryan instead. Ryan's hand hovered near my back. You okay? I nodded, even though I wasn't. We went to the right office and got the forms. The clerk was a different woman this time. You need a temporary protective order. Yes, I said quietly. She handed me a packet. Fill this out. Be specific. Include dates. Include copies of messages. Ryan helped me organize everything on a bench in the hallway. He slid my screenshots into order, labeled them. He moved like a man who knew systems. Like he knew how to win. My hands shook as I wrote. I described Ethan grabbing my wrist. I described the voicemail. I described my fear. Every word felt like admitting I had failed to protect myself. When we turned in the paperwork, the clerk reviewed it, then nodded. You'll get a hearing date. Temporary order may be granted today depending on the judge. My stomach twisted. Hearing. Judge. Ethan. Ryan's voice was calm. Thank you. We waited in the hallway. The benches were full of people with tired eyes and tense shoulders. Everyone here was carrying something heavy. Ryan sat beside me, posture straight, hands folded. He looked like he belonged. I didn't. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I froze. Ryan's eyes flicked to me. Don't answer. I pulled it out anyway. Unknown number. A text. You think a piece of paper can stop me? My blood ran cold. Maya texted again. How's married life? I stared at it, then typed back. We're surviving. Maya responded with a single word. Good. I set my phone down and leaned back on the couch. I stared at the ceiling. The apartment still felt too clean. Too controlled. But maybe that was what I needed. A place where chaos couldn't hide. Ryan came out an hour later, loosening his tie. His eyes went to me immediately. How are you feeling? I blinked. Better. He nodded once. Good. He walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, then paused. We should grocery shop. I stared at him. That sounds normal. Ryan's mouth twitched. We need food. I laughed softly. Okay. He glanced at me. Tomorrow. I nodded. Tomorrow. He sat on the couch across from me, leaving space. For a few minutes, we just existed. Then Ryan spoke. Emma. Yeah. He hesitated, like words didn't come easily. I'm not going to pressure you. My stomach tightened. About what? About us, he said quietly. I stared at him. Okay. Ryan's gaze held mine. But I need you to know something. My throat went dry. What? Ryan's voice was low, steady. I didn't marry you to play pretend. The words hit hard. I blinked. Then why did you marry me? Ryan's jaw tightened. Because when I looked at you in that office, you looked like someone who was about to disappear. My chest tightened. He continued. And I knew what that felt like. I swallowed. Ryan's eyes softened slightly. I didn't want you to disappear. Tears burned my eyes again, sudden and sharp. Ryan. He looked away for a second, like he didn't like being seen. I'm not good at feelings, Emma. I'm good at fixing problems. My voice cracked. I noticed. Ryan's mouth twitched. But you're not a problem. You're a person. My chest ached so badly it felt like pain. I whispered. I don't know how to do this. Ryan's gaze returned to mine. Then we learn. I stared at him. Learn what? How to be married, he said quietly. For real. The word real hung in the air. My heart pounded. I wasn't ready. But I also wasn't sure I wanted to run. Because Ryan wasn't asking for romance. He was asking for effort. For honesty. For something solid. And a part of me, the part that had been starving for years, wanted to give it. I swallowed hard. Okay. Ryan's eyes held mine. Okay. The word felt different coming out of my mouth this time. Less like surrender. More like choice. And as I sat there in Ryan's quiet apartment, holding my stomach with one hand and my new reality with the other, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was starting to trust him. And trust was the most dangerous thing of all. The next morning, Ryan actually followed through on grocery shopping. Not just a quick run for protein bars and bottled water. A real trip. He drove us to a big supermarket in a quiet neighborhood, the kind with wide aisles, soft music, and people who looked like they had never been stood up at a courthouse in their lives. I walked beside him, hands shoved in my hoodie pockets, trying to act normal. Ryan pushed the cart like it was a mission. He didn't wander. He didn't browse. He moved with purpose. Eggs. Milk. Bread. Chicken. Vegetables. It should have felt comforting. Instead, it felt unreal. Like we were cosplaying as a couple. At the produce section, Ryan picked up an avocado and inspected it like a jeweler. I couldn't help it. I laughed. He glanced at me. What? Nothing. You look like you're about to interrogate that avocado. Ryan put it back, expression flat. I don't trust them. That made me laugh harder. For the first time in weeks, it felt good. Like my chest wasn't constantly clenched. We got to the checkout, and Ryan paid without hesitation. I tried to reach for my card anyway. He shook his head. No. Ryan, I can pay for my own groceries. He looked at me, calm but firm. You're pregnant. You're stressed. You're living in my place. Let me do this. My throat tightened. I didn't like needing anyone. But I also didn't want to fight him over something small. Okay. He nodded once, satisfied. On the drive back, the sky was clear and bright. It looked like a normal day. But my phone kept buzzing in my purse, even though I'd blocked Ethan. Unknown numbers. Voicemails. New emails. He was trying every door, hoping one would open. When we got back to the apartment, Ryan carried all the bags inside like it was nothing. He started putting everything away, efficient and quiet. I leaned on the counter and watched him. You always do everything like you're running a company. Ryan didn't look up. Habit. I hesitated. Do you ever relax? He paused, then shut the fridge door. Not really. That answer hit me harder than I expected. Because it wasn't dramatic. It wasn't sad. It was just a fact. Like Ryan had never learned how to exist without bracing for impact. I nodded slowly. Me neither. For a second, our eyes met. Something unspoken passed between us. Not romance. Not yet. But understanding. Later that afternoon, Maya came over. She stepped into Ryan's apartment, eyes scanning everything like she was doing a safety inspection. Okay, she said, turning to Ryan. I'll admit it. You're not a serial killer. Ryan deadpanned. That's a relief. Maya turned to me. You good? I nodded. Better. She glanced at my stomach. How are you feeling physically? I rubbed my belly absent-mindedly. Still nauseous. Still tired. Still stressed. Maya's face tightened. Any more threats? I showed her the latest text from the unknown number. Her eyes went cold. That man is obsessed. Ryan spoke quietly. We got a temporary protective order. Maya blinked. Good. That's huge. Ryan's phone buzzed. He checked it, then looked at me. We have the hearing date. My stomach dropped again. When? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That wasn't long. Maya let out a slow breath. Okay. We can prep. Ryan nodded. We will. That night, after Maya left, Ryan cooked. Not fancy. Just grilled chicken, rice, and vegetables. But it smelled good. It smelled like someone planned to be alive tomorrow. We ate in silence at first. Then Ryan looked up. I talked to my attorney today. My stomach tightened. About Ethan? Ryan nodded. He's going to try to argue you're unstable. I froze. Unstable? Ryan's eyes stayed steady. He'll use the marriage. The pregnancy. The courthouse situation. He'll paint you as impulsive and reckless. My throat went dry. That's exactly what my mom said. Ryan leaned back slightly. Your mom is wrong. I let out a shaky laugh. You don't even know my mom. I know the type, Ryan said. My chest tightened. The type? The kind who cares more about how things look than how you feel. My eyes burned. I looked away quickly, blinking hard. Ryan didn't push. He just said quietly. We'll be ready. The next, come on. Sit. I made chili. The smell hit me and my stomach turned. I pressed a hand to my mouth. Brooke froze. Oh no. Are you okay? Ryan's voice was calm. Morning sickness. Brooke's eyes widened. Wait. You're pregnant. I stiffened. Ryan nodded. Yeah. Brooke stared at me, then at Ryan. And you married her anyway? Ryan's jaw tightened. Brooke. She lifted her hands. No, I'm not judging. I'm impressed. I stared at her. Impressed? Brooke sat across from me. Ryan has always been cautious. She glanced at him. That's the nicest way I can say it. Ryan rolled his eyes. Brooke continued. He doesn't take risks. Ever. He doesn't even buy new shoes until the old ones are literally falling apart. That made me laugh a little. Brooke leaned forward. So if he married you on impulse, it means he saw something worth jumping for. My chest tightened. I didn't know what to say. Ryan cleared his throat. We're just trying to make it work. Brooke smiled softly. That's marriage, genius. We stayed for 2 hours. Brooke was warm and funny, and she treated me like I belonged. When we left, she hugged me tight at the door. Take care of my brother, okay? I blinked. He takes care of himself. Brooke shook her head. No. He takes care of everyone else. He forgets himself. Ryan's face tightened. Brooke, stop. She smiled. I'm just saying. Don't let him pretend he doesn't need you. On the drive home, Ryan was quiet. I glanced at him. Your sister's nice. He nodded. She's a lot. I smiled. She loves you. Ryan's grip tightened slightly on the steering wheel. Yeah. Then, after a long pause, he said quietly. She's right, though. My heart skipped. About what? Ryan didn't look at me. I do forget myself. I swallowed. Ryan. He finally glanced over. I don't want to do that anymore. My chest felt tight, warm, terrified. I stared at him. Okay. He nodded once. Okay. That night, we sat on the couch together. Not touching. Just close. The TV played some dumb comedy we weren't really watching. Ryan looked over at me. Emma. Yeah. If Ethan shows up again, I want you to promise me something. My stomach tightened. What? Don't talk to him alone. I nodded immediately. I promise. Ryan's voice dropped. And if you ever feel like you're slipping, like you can't breathe, you tell me. I swallowed. I will. He held my gaze for a second longer than usual. Then he looked away. Good. In the quiet after, I realized something. This marriage started as a dare. A survival move. A desperate joke. But somewhere between grocery shopping and protective orders and meeting his sister, it was becoming something else. Not a fairy tale. Not a perfect love story. But something steady. Something built with choices instead of promises. And for the first time in a long time, I thought maybe I could build a life that didn't collapse every time someone walked away. But I should have known. Ethan wasn't done. Not even close.